What's up, friends? Today we're checking out the new Beatles song, Now and Then. Kind of crazy to say that. I just watched the little short film about the Beatles Now and Then, and it got me feeling a little emotional just because I've been listening to the Beatles for such a long time. I kind of grew up on them. My mom was playing them all the time. And I remember when I first listened to Real Love and was like, oh my goodness, there's something after. Like they did something more with something. And now listening to a new last one, because I always thought of Real Love as kind of like, oh, this is the last like song by the Beatles. And now it's like, okay, there's a new one, which is just crazy to think of. We'll be looking at this song from the perspective of a producer and songwriter, as well as a longtime fan. So expect a few pauses to go over specific elements of the song.
And now and then.
I think it's really interesting just listening to that first verse part there. And it just feels like crazy once you hear that bass come in to me, because I'm like, oh, like this is like how Paul McCartney would play the bass. It's a little bit bouncy and it kind of descends with the piano at certain times, and I'm just like, yeah, this is what it sounds like, you know. And you have John Lennon singing the lead vocals because they're using a John Lennon song and kind of adding things to it, and it just sounds right. It sounds cool. It's interesting how like they're taking voices from different periods though, because this is like John Lennon in the 70s versus, you know, a more modern Paul McCartney coming in on this next part. It's just fascinating.
Now and then. I miss you.
Oh, there's something about that chorus that just fits with this like emotion of how the group must be feeling at different points that is just like wild, because it's this like, now and then I miss you, now and then I want you to be there for me, which is just so fitting of the emotions of like feeling like, you know, I miss these people who have passed away, you know, John Lennon and Ringo. Sorry, you know, John Lennon and George Harrison. And also like I miss the things we shared together, even though, you know, there was so much boiling us that it had to split apart. That kind of thought process being poured into the vocals and into the lyrics of the song is so impactful, and it just makes me think of, you know, friendships that I've had that ended up not working out as much, and just like, you know, I feel like I'm relating to this while at the same time being impacted by the story I know of what happened. It's intense. I love that solo section because of how Beatles-esque it does sound. Like they're still adding, you know, a lot of modern production touches to it that you can hear, and just the balancing, the mixing, and the crisper sound quality. But just that, you know, orchestration on top of a steel guitar with the just the choral vocals that are going for very Beatles-like harmonies. It's just so, it fits so well in like a late Beatles style of song. Being so influenced by this, we recently released an album that's like going after this same Baroque pop type of feel, and it's just so cool to hear it being done by the masters of it, the people who really helped define Baroque pop and make it have its own really specific sound and mark. Them with, of course, the Beach Boys.
Because of you.
Man, that orchestration was great. In the short film, they talked about how Giles was doing something that Paul felt George Martin would have done. And listening to this, I'm like, yeah, no, this sounds exactly like something George Martin would have done, which is just like So crazy to me. It's crazy to listen to. It's crazy to listen to the interesting rhythmic decisions with those electric guitars kind of responding to the vocals in terms of their rhythm. Nothing's lost. Nothing takes away from the vocal at any point. There's a lot of staccato violin like stabs is how I like to refer to them, that kind of end out the song, and it just all sounds very, very pretty. I'm really, really into it. Wild ride. Okay. Hope you enjoyed my little video. Hope it helped you appreciate the song, maybe even a little bit more. If that's the case, really appreciate if you like, comment, share, subscribe. Also, as I was saying earlier, my band Jack Jack recently put out an album that was definitely going after this kind of Baroque pop feel. And I think if you like the Beatles and you like this type of stuff, you'll also enjoy Birds Aren't Real. It's a funny name, but it's a very, we put our heart and souls into the album, so I'd really appreciate it if you check it out. Thanks so much. Catch you on the flip.
Caught up in your jet stream, pulling oceans of your